Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Robert Adams, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Captain Matthew Ritchie. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, I now invite you to please stand and join in singing the national anthem. For those who are able, you may now be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Ernest Henry Fisher. Ernest Henry Fisher was born in Ascot in central Victoria on the 29th of May 1894. He was adopted when he was an infant by John Fisher and Christina Fisher of Sebastopol in Ballarat. His parents already had 4 sons, all of whom were in their 20s when Ernest was adopted. He grew up in Ballarat and attended Mount Blowhard School. As a teenager, Ernest worked as a tram conductor for the Ballarat Electric Tramway Company. In 1913, he was arrested and charged with embezzling 4 shillings from his employers, but the case was dropped for lack of evidence. Soon afterwards, he relocated to Kiama on the Illawarra coast of New South Wales to work as a labourer at the state quarries. Ernest enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 29th of November 1915 in Nowra, New South Wales. He joined the Waratah recruitment march the next day, travelling to Sydney with many of his co-workers from the quarries. He was assigned to the 16th Reinforcements of the 1st Infantry Battalion with the rank of private and began training at camp in Liverpool. Private Fisher departed Sydney on the 1st of April 1916 on the transport ship Macquarie and arrived at Marseille in France on the 17th of May. There, Ernest joined the Australian Division Base Depot at Étampes and continued training for service at the front. He left on the 16th of June and joined the 1st Battalion on the front line at Fleur Bay on the 18th of June. Ernest stayed on the front line until the 23rd of June, when the 1st Battalion was relieved and posted behind the lines. After leaving the front line, the 1st Battalion provided close support at Fleur Bay until the 4th of July. They then travelled from the north of France via Bailleul to the Somme region to support the offensive taking place there. On the 19th of July, Ernest and his battalion arrived in Contour-Maison, ready to participate in the Allied offensive outside the French village of Pozières. British units in the area had attempted to capture the village or force the Germans back from their defensive position throughout the opening weeks of July 1916, but each offensive had been costly and unsuccessful. As a result, a major Allied offensive was launched just after midnight on the 23rd of July. The battle lasted for 42 days, with the Allies launching 19 separate attacks against German positions in and around Pozières. The Australian units involved sustained heavy casualties. In the first 36 hours of the offensive, the 1st Battalion suffered 276 casualties. One of these was Ernest Fisher. On the 23rd of July, while seizing control of the German trenches outside Pozières, Ernest Fisher was hit by shrapnel in his arms, thigh and back. He was admitted to the No. 1 field ambulance on the same day, before being transferred to the 6th Motor Ambulance Convoy and then to the No. 3 Casualty Clearing Station. Despite receiving medical care, Ernest died of his wounds on the 24th of July, 1916. Private Ernest Fisher was buried in Pouchevet British Cemetery in France. He was 22 years old. His death was reported in local Kiama and Ballarat papers, alongside the names of others who had fallen in the opening days of the Battle of Pozières. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour to my right, amongst 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is on display here today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Ernest Henry Fisher, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them. lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, we thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.